Hey guys, how you going? I hope you're all doing well. Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about healthy food swaps that you can do. Now you guys know I'm not about that calorie counting life, but there is no way around it. If your goal is to lose fat, you do need to eat within a calorie deficit. And really these tips and tricks and swaps are some of the ways that I found when I was losing weight were quite easy to add into my routine and change in my diet without really noticing too much, and meant I didn't have to track calories or obsess over foods or cut any food groups out. It doesn't all have to be doom and gloom. You can still eat well, you can still eat what you enjoy, but you can make some small changes along the way which will make it a lot easier and a lot less noticeable as well. So without further ado, we're going to get straight on into the video. I hope you enjoy and I'll speak to you guys at the end. Alright, so the first thing we're going to talk about is cereal. Now if you're like me and your favourite cereal is quite high in sugar, then a good option is to mix your cereals. Now there's no way I'm giving up cinnamon grains because I love them so damn much, they taste amazing, but they are quite high in sugar. And not only that, but one portion is 30 grams, which there is no way I'm having only 30 grams. So what I like to do is mix it with something like cornflakes, bran flakes, Weetabix or Special K, something like that, something that's slightly lower in sugar, salt or fat, and it means I can have a little bit more cereal and I can still get the amazing taste. Now just a side note to mention that not all cereals that people deem to be unhealthy are actually that bad at all. So for example, Cocoa Pops, really the nutritional information, when you look at it, is not too dissimilar from something like Special K. So, you know, read the nutritional labels, but cinnamon grahams that I love, they are quite high in sugar, I have to accept it. But there ain't no way I'm giving it up, so I'll mix it with my other cereals, which means I can still get the best of both worlds. Okay, number 2 is pre-made oatmeal sachets. Now these are marketed really well to be super convenient and also healthy, but they can be packed full of extra ingredients that just aren't necessary. So a way to overcome that is to make your own oats. Not only is it cheaper, but you control exactly what's going in and you can mix it up as well day to day. So for toppings, obviously you can add whatever you want. You could add some stewed apple with cinnamon, that's amazing. You could add some carrot and some raisins for like a carrot cake mix with some cinnamon, which is awesome as well. But obviously the options are endless. The other difference is the pre-made sachets tend to come with semi-skimmed milk, which bumps up the calories slightly, but if you're like me as well and you don't eat dairy, it can be quite limiting. Whereas with the oats that you make yourself, you can add nut milk, you could add regular milk if you drink it, or you can add water and just split the difference. Not only that, but the difference in cost is quite big, so you're paying a lot more for your pre-made sachets than you are for your oats. And if you like the convenience of these, you can just meal prep these, pour them into a little Tupperware container with your toppings, get to work, add your water or your milk, and then stick it in the microwave and you're good to go. Tip number 3 is, and this is probably something that you've heard before, reduce how much sugar you're having in your tea and your coffee. Now, way back when, I used to have 3 sugars in my coffee. I can't actually believe I just had 3 sugars in my coffee, and I was having that multiple times a day. So if I added that up, I was consuming maybe 9 teaspoons of sugar a day in my coffee alone, which is just crazy. So if you can reduce the amount of sugar you're having in your tea and coffee, this is going to be a super easy way to make your drinks healthier and also reduce the amount of calories you're consuming as well. Now you don't have to go completely cold turkey, you can slowly reduce the amount of sugar that you're putting in your tea or coffee, and you will eventually start to get used to the taste as well. I remember at first I was like, oh, this is not for me, but now I love it and I actually find putting any sugar in my coffee is way too sweet. And while we're on the topic of tea and coffee, if you are a milky coffee drinker, so lattes, cappuccinos, flat whites, that sort of thing, if you can start switching a couple of those a week into a black coffee, like an Americano or a long black, then you're going to be going a long way to helping yourself reduce calories if your goal is to be in a calorie deficit. It's little changes like this that can make such a big impact overall, and it means that you're only doing tiny little changes throughout your entire week rather than making big massive changes to your diet or cutting food groups out, for example. Alright, number 4, if you're a crisp person, we are super lucky there are so many alternatives now. So, salt and vinegar crisps, delicious. Do you know what's even more delicious? Salt and vinegar pop chips. These are life-changing. Slightly lower in calories, quite a lot lower in fat, but equally delicious. So if you're looking for a slightly healthier option to like potato chips, then this could be a good option. But there's also tons of similar options out there. So we've got lentil chips, which are made from Whole Foods, hummus chips, and also popcorn, which is amazing. Now, additional little tip with these giant bags of crisps, which again, I'm sure you would have heard, but none of us really do. If you buy these big bags, then serve yourself a portion into a bowl before you start eating them, and you can avoid the temptation to eat the entire packet, although let's be honest, I could eat this whole packet in 2 seconds flat. Okay, swap number 4 is going to be something that I tripped up a lot on, and that is consuming dried fruit or fruit juices. So the humble banana chip may look like a great option because it's just a banana, right? But a much better option is going to be actually just eating a banana. 100 grams of banana chips, 585 calories. 1 banana, 80 calories. The other thing with banana chips is that it's super easy to just keep snacking on them. They're only little chips and you can just eat away, pecking at them while you're at your desk, or you could be sitting on the sofa or something like that and consuming this whole packet without even thinking. Whereas a banana is already perfectly portioned. Now, another fruit swap that really blew my mind when I found out years ago was orange juice. Now, I always assumed, because I was buying muesli bars and orange juice at the supermarket and not fizzy drinks and chocolate, that I was making a good choice. But what I didn't realise is just the amount of sugar in fruit juice. So this point is illustrated quite well when you consider that 1 small bottle of orange juice can contain the juice of up to 12 oranges. In fact, fruit juices can often have more sugar in than soft drinks do. Now again, it doesn't mean you have to cut these things out at all, but just something to be mindful of if you were consuming fruit juices every single day thinking that it was a really good option in comparison to other things, that maybe that might not be true. Picking the fruit over the altered version is often a really good choice. Keep it natural and keep it simple. And to be honest with you, in all the extra calories that I'm saving from here, I would rather smear this in peanut butter and salt, amazing, and have that as my snack, or even smush it on some toast with some butter and some salt. Oh my gosh, amazing, rather than eat these. All right, you knew this was coming. Point number 5 is soft drinks. There is no place for these full fat soft drinks anymore when we've got so many low calorie, no calorie, low sugar alternatives. So choosing the zero option is always going to be really helpful if you're trying to reduce your calories or your sugar consumption. And of course, there's loads of other alternatives as well. So you could look for sparkling water. So ice with sparkling water with lemon squeezed in is amazing, or you can even add sparkling water with some squash, or of course we've got flavoured sparkling waters as well. Like anything, it takes a little bit of getting used to, but once you've formed the habit, you won't look back, and it will help you a lot in the future in terms of your long-term health. Up next is oil, and let me preface this with saying that there is absolutely nothing wrong with eating oils and fats. In fact, it's important, it's necessary, and it makes your food taste really good as well. However, there can be an issue with portion control. For example, if you're using olive oil in your pan, it can be quite easy to pour out quite a big portion, whereas if you use something like a spray oil, then you'll be able to control your portion a lot easier. So yeah, I just find these a lot easier to use. I mean, they say 1 calorie per spray, but let's be real. I'm using like 10 to 15 sprays sometimes, but it doesn't really matter. The whole point is I'm getting less out in the pan than if I was to use this, because I know if I use this, I tend to just pour and then I'm done. So a super easy swap, but please don't think that it's bad to consume oil or fat. It's definitely necessary for your body. It's good for you. It's just the amount that we consume. That's all. Okay, on to swap number 7, which illustrates exactly what I mean when I say making small little changes that you don't really notice can have a huge impact overall. And that is sauces. So we often focus so much on what we're actually consuming as our main meals that we don't really pay as much attention to what we're adding to it, which is kind of where we become unstuck. Now I'm sure we can all relate to, as an example, tomato ketchup. I could go to town on tomato ketchup. It tastes so good to me. I could put it on even salads. I know that sounds crazy, but I definitely could. And there's no portion control either. But I found switching it to tomato salsa was actually a really good option to me. Obviously, they don't taste exactly the same, but they kind of have the same effect. Half the calories and less sugar and salt, and this is already the reduced salt and sugar version, and a little bit more natural as well. So something that I like to substitute for my ketchup, although of course there's then going to be days where I still have my ketchup. So it's not about cutting things out completely, it's just about switching it up every now and again to maybe make some different choices. Okay, number 8, I bet you saw this one coming, salad dressings. So we make a beautiful salad and we think we're being super good by eating it, and then we cover it in a salad dressing. Again, somewhere that I tripped up time and time again. So you have a couple of options here. You can go out and grab yourself a vinaigrette or a dressing that's low fat, and these ones are super low in calories but still have a lot of flavour in them, so always a good option. But to be honest with you, I think it's better just to make your own. You can Google Caesar salad, for example, recipes on Google, and you'll find tons that come up, and you'll have all the ingredients for them already in your pantry, and you know exactly what's gone into that dressing. It doesn't have to be complicated. One of my favourite salad dressings is a bit of olive oil, a bit of red wine vinegar, salt, pepper, and some crushed garlic, and it is amazing, especially with some feta crumbled over the top. Beautiful, it's so good. Nice and simple, quick and easy to make, no hassle. Okay, number 9, and let me preface this again by saying carbohydrates are in no way the enemy. Not only do they taste amazing, but they're also a readily available source of energy for your body. So fantastic on those days where you need a little bit more energy or you've got training, something like that. But if there's a day where you just fancy something a little bit lighter, something that I like to do, and I still do really, really often, is to go half and half with my carbohydrate portion and vegetables. So a perfect example of this for me is that if I was to have spaghetti bolognese, I will have half the amount of pasta that I would usually have, and instead I would put boiled broccoli in. To be honest with you, I actually prefer the texture of the broccoli and I find it fills me up a little bit more, so it works really well for me. But you would have heard this a million and one times, people putting zucchini in their oats, zoodles, you could have butternut squash as your noodles as well. So it's just an option that's there for you, not something that you have to do all the time, and again, something that you can mix and match. You can always go half and half, or you can just substitute it on those days where you just feel like something lighter. But again, carbs are not the enemy. If you like pasta, go and have the pasta, eat all the pasta. Another veggie swap that I like to make is that if I'm having burritos, I'll have cauliflower rice from frozen rather than just regular rice. And to be honest with you, I'm getting enough carbohydrates from the wrap anyway, and if I'm having spaghetti bolognese, it means I can have extra garlic bread, which is amazing. So it's all about balance. So I had a couple that I wanted to put in at number 10, but I've decided on this one because it really made a huge, like a massively significant difference to my weight loss, and that is desserts. Previously, I'd easily go for apple crumble and custard or ice cream or chocolate, like loads. We're not talking small portions here, we're talking big portions of these foods. And because it was so late in the evening, I really didn't think about the fact that it was having such an impact. So I started switching it for herbal tea. And I know that sounds really boring, but it was a huge game changer for me. It took a little while to get into the habit of it, and obviously I missed the desserts that I was having because I was just so used to it. But instead of having my desserts, I would always have a peppermint tea after my dinner, and not only did it help with digestion, sort of get me ready for bed, but I really started to enjoy that habit. Now on those days where I still needed that sweet something after dinner and peppermint tea wasn't quite hitting the spot, I made some choices where I was still eating the same foods that I'd had before for dessert, but I was eating a different variety that would fill me up a little bit more and I just couldn't eat as much of. And for me, that was chocolate. So I switched from dairy chocolate to dark chocolate, and if you eat dark chocolate, you'll know that it's quite hard to eat quite a lot of it because it's so strong and really, really filling. Again, it took a couple of weeks to get used to, but now I absolutely love dark chocolate. If you live in Australia, Old Gold with hazelnuts, oh my gosh, I miss it so much. I would go back to Australia just for that. But anyway, dark chocolate, I love it now, but I didn't really like it when I started. I got used to it after a while, but honestly, I can't eat a huge amount of it because it's just so filling, and that was really good for me because I was super satisfied, but I was still eating less than I was before. It will probably be individual to everyone. Not everyone's going to want to swap milk chocolate for dark chocolate, but there's lots of different options out there. So whatever you really, really enjoy, find a different alternative that's either going to fill you up a little bit more or that you can portion control a little bit better, and hopefully that will help you reduce your overall calories throughout the day without having to make such an impact. Okay guys, I'm going to leave it here. If you have any comments or questions, you can leave them down below. Head over to Instagram if you want to message me. I love hearing from you guys. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching the video. Thank you for your support, and I will see you in the next one. Have a great day.